What is up, everyone? It's your girl Tabs here with Keeping Tabs, and welcome back to the YouTube. It is episode 11. Last night we had an incredible NXT No Mercy, so that is the main talking point for this week's episode. We will also recap Monday Night Raw and Smackdown, obviously the fallout of Wrestlepalooza. So let's jump on into it and let's get going. We have to acknowledge, first off, that's why I'm repping the Ricky Saints Absolute new NXT champ, Ricky Saints, defeating Obafemi last night at NXT No Mercy. A lot of people didn't think it was going to happen. I was believing it. I wore this shirt last night. I did wash it. Make sure you know that I did wash it. It is clean. So my good luck shirt for my boy Ricky Saints. What an incredible NXT No Mercy overall, but in a main event, very, very awesome. Very, very good matchup. So let's talk about the main event first, and then we'll talk about the rest of the card. Again, obviously, new NXT champion. Once we got to the main event and there hadn't been a title change, I was like, okay, it's happening, dude. It's happening. Sol Ruca retained, Ethan Page retained, JC Jane retained. So I was like, it is happening. Ricky Saints is about to dethrone Oba. Now, the big question here is, number one, what is going to happen with Ricky Saints going forward? Is he going to be a part of the invasion angle going forward with the TNA stuff? Or who's his next opponent's going to be? What's going on with that? Also, the other big question, Obafemi, what's going on with him? Again, is he going to be part of the invasion angle, or is he going to the main roster soon? I could see him taking a couple months off potentially, and then showing up on Monday Night Raw, maybe Friday Night Smackdown, obviously, but I think he would fit great on Monday Night Raw. That dude is a future world champ, future WWE WrestleMania main eventer. He potentially, I'm not saying Hall of Famer, but he is definitely on track. Him and Braun Breaker, oof, those are big names right there going forward. You know what I'm saying? WrestleMania main eventers, like I said. But that main event last night was definitely very, very awesome. Again, super excited for Ricky, especially going forward, to see what kind of feuds and matches we can have out of him, because I think he's an incredible in-ring performer. He's great on the mic, obviously. So excited to see what is going to go on. But let's go back to the top of the match card. Javon Evans and Josh Briggs kicked us off. They've had a great feud going on the last few weeks. Josh Briggs won that last matchup, but Javon got the big win last night. I knew he needed this big time win. He's on a freaking roll lately. He had a great match on Smackdown with Sami Zayn for the US title. Big win last night over Josh Briggs. And at Bound for Glory, he'll be facing the TNA X Division champ, Leon Slater. So great opportunities, good matches for him to come. Next up, we had Sol Ruca defending her WWE Women's Speed Championship. Originally, it was supposed to be Miss Lainey Reed, but unfortunately, she suffered a last-minute injury, and she was replaced by Jada Parker. Great surprise. She is a local Floridian, so it was cool to see her in front of the Fort Lauderdale crowd. I'm a big fan of Jada Parker too. I've seen her in person at Reality of Wrestling, so super, super cool to see her out there. Last Legend coming out to get involved. Obviously, Zario was there with Sol Ruca, so some shenanigans there, but Sol retaining at the end. The only thing that threw me off, I forgot that the championship matches for Speed are 5 minutes instead of the 3-minute, but it was still a good match. Somewhat quick, but it felt like a good time length in my opinion. And then, personally, my favorite match of the night was the weaponized steel cage match between Jordynne Grace and Blake Monroe. They've had a heated rivalry, very bloody feud going on these last few weeks. Blake Monroe got that big win at Heatwave a couple weeks ago, so I figured Jordynne Grace was going to win here last night, which she did. I mean, there were some incredible moves in there, some very cringy, oof kind of moments, where you're like, ooh, I felt that, giving me full body chills. Overall, though, again, great match. Blake Monroe, Jordynne Grace, you guys, mad respect, though, mad freaking respect. And I loved, the little details within the cage. It was, very Blake Monroe, themed with the pink garbage cans, the little, purse full of diamonds, the pink kendo stick, the pink chair, and all that stuff. That was so funny. I love the little details there. And she had these like Harley Quinn kind of like ponytail in, or pigtails in. I thought that was cool. Overall though, that was my favorite match of the night. Very gruesome, aggressive, just all out. Oof. It was a good match though. I really enjoy these like fun matches they do in NXT, you know? And then the next match was Ethan Page defending his North American Championship against Tavion Heights. In my predictions, I had Tavion Heights winning here, but he did not. Ethan Page retained. I potentially see them having another matchup maybe, or maybe he just moves on to a next feud. But mark my words, Tavion Heights is going to be a big-time player in NXT going forward. I really enjoy his stuff. I've actually met him in person. He's a great guy, great in-ring performer. He's obviously a former Olympian, so he has great wrestling already. He just needs to work on that storytelling and those promos. But overall, that was a good match to me. And again, I think that he'll have another chance at that title sometime soon. And then the co-main event, I guess you could say, was Jacy Jayne defending her NXT Women's Championship against Lola Vice, who was the hometown favorite. Unfortunately, being the hometown favorite is usually not a good thing in WWE and professional wrestling, as Jacy Jayne did retain, barely surviving once again. Fallon Henley getting herself ejected from the arena, from outside the ring, as she pulled the ref out from finishing a 3 count. Lola was so close to winning it, and then Fallon just whipped that ref right out the ring. He tossed her out, and unfortunately, I don't know who was in that black hoodie. I don't really have any thoughts besides maybe Lainey Reed, and she's faking this injury because there was a lot of rumors and theories that Lainey Reed is going to join Fatal Influence now that Jasmine Nix has gone. But I really don't know who it was. All blacked out hoodie, mask, taking a big old knee to Lola Vice when she was outside the ring, and that led to Jacy retaining. So interested to see what's going to happen going forward. I'm a little surprised Jacy Jayne's been NXT champ this long, but I think her reign's been pretty entertaining. Yeah, she's a heel champion, so it's always shenanigans, but at the end of the day, she's playing her character very well, and she's a good in-ring performer. So I'm enjoying it very much. Again, NXT No Mercy was very awesome. I very much enjoyed every single bit of it. And I continue to show my praise to Shawn Michaels and that NXT crew putting on amazing shows consistently. NXT Invasion coming up with TNA. I'm super excited about that. And this coming Tuesday on NXT, we will see the 5 representatives for the men and women's Survivor Series type matchups that are going to be taking place on October 7th. It's going to be TNA versus NXT, like I said. So interested to see who those picks will be. So make sure you're tuning into NXT, as again, they're always just banging episodes. So consistent, very, very well produced. Again, NXT Mercy was awesome. Alrighty, so moving on, we're going to be talking about Monday Night Raw from this past week, the fallout of Wrestlepalooza. Kicking us off was Cody Rhodes after he retained his WWE Championship against Drew McIntyre. And then obviously Seth Rollins and him are set up for Crown Jewel, so he eventually came out interrupting Cody. They had a couple words back and forth, staring it down. They've had a pretty, intense past, pretty intense feuds in the past. Obviously, Cody returned to WWE at WrestleMania against Seth Rollins, and they went on to have their matches and some very, very gruesome, intense, awesome matches that they had, the Hell in the Cell, all that stuff. This episode of Raw definitely, pushed us forward looking to Crown Jewel in Perth. We also got to see the new Women's World Champion, Stephanie Vaquer, as she came out, gave a little promo. And obviously, she is set to face the winner of the triple threat that happened this past Friday on Smackdown, which we'll get into a little bit later. I have a couple matches this past Raw, so let's talk about those really quickly. Penta teamed up with the War Raiders once again versus the New Day and Grayson Waller in a no disqualification 6-man tag. Penta and the War Raiders won that matchup once again. I'm really not a fan of Penta just being thrown in these random, meaningless feuds at this point. We had Bayley and Roxanne face off on a one-on-one matchup where Bayley gets the win, and she will be facing up against Raquel this coming Monday. Dominic Mysterio gets JD McDonough to face off against Rusev, as Rusev prepares to face Dom for the IC title coming up. And obviously Rusev gets the win over little JD boy. Tensions continuing to flow in between the Judgment Day members with JD, Finn, Dom. Raquel's just kind of like, you know, it is what it is. We also had Jey Uso versus LA Knight. Yeah! Their tension has continued to grow as Jey Uso believes LA Knight was the reason that him and Jimmy lost at Wrestlepalooza. And Jey did get the win over LA Knight. And then in the main event, Rhea Ripley finally got her hands on Asuka as their tension backstage has grown over the last few weeks. Rhea Ripley did get the win over Asuka, pinning her after hitting a riptide. After the match, Asuka misted Rhea, leading to Io having to come out and help her. But Asuka finally turned on Io Sky and forcing Kairi Sane to turn on her as well. This is definitely going to be leading up to a big-time tag matchup of Rhea Ripley, Io Sky versus the Kabuki Warriors. So I'm definitely interested to see where that continues on and plays out. But like I said, I think that they could potentially have this tag match at Crown Jewel in Perth, as Perth is, in Australia, which that is where Rhea Ripley is from. And she's not going to be featured in any title matches as it's champion versus champion. So this is a great way to still have her on the card. Again, this Raw really set the precedent of we are focusing and going forward on Crown Jewel. We're kind of forgetting about Wrestlepalooza as it didn't get the best feedback and reviews. So they're focused on Crown Jewel. Hopefully they set this up better than Wrestlepalooza. I have a little faith in Triple H and WWE, but we'll see. Alrighty, let's go over to Friday Night Smackdown as Paul Heyman returned and he opened up Smackdown. Again, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins are set for Crown Jewel, so that feud is going to be building up over these next few weeks. Cody Rhodes ended up interrupting Mr. Heyman, and then Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker come out, make it a 2-on-1 versus Cody Rhodes, leading to hiding the voices in my head. They counsel me, they understand, they talk to me. Randy freaking Orton comes back to save his buddy Cody Rhodes. They're definitely going to have a tag match at some point, whether it's on SmackDown or something. But Randy continues to grab that title, staring at it. They've freaking done this like angle of Randy looking at the title, looking at Cody weirdly. So I'm like, come on, when are we going to get this Cody versus Randy, mentor versus mentee? Like, we know it's going to happen at some point. And then we had a women's tag match of Julia and Kiana James versus B-Fav and Mi Chen. Julia and Kiana James picked up the win there. And then we had a number one contenders matchup for the men's tag titles, Melo Don't Miz versus the Street Profits. And the Street Profits defeated Melo Don't Miz as Miz and Melo continue to have this weird tension between the two. We had a returning Jacob Fatu come out tonight to interrupt a pissed off Drew McIntyre. Drew came out in a boot after he tried to claymore Cody Rhodes through the announce table once again, but missed this time and his leg took the brunt of that. And Jacob came out interrupting him and was like, yo, you need to stop complaining so much, bro. And this is exciting. I'm super excited for this potential feud. I mean, what if we get Drew versus Jacob at Crown Jewel? That's going to be a freaking banger, dude. And the main event of the night was a triple threat for the Women's WWE Championship. Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill, and Nia Jax. Pretty good match overall. It had a very controversial botchy miscommunication there on that little finish. That's what the match is going to be remembered for now, unfortunately. But Tiffany Stratton did retain her WWE Women's Championship, setting up Tiffany Stratton versus Stephanie Vaquer at Crown Jewel. So now we have both of our men's and women's champions versus champions match set up. We also have AJ Styles and John Cena official for Crown Jewel. So 3 awesome matches already set up for Crown Jewel. Again, hopefully it's a little bit better than Wrestlepalooza, as that was definitely a big flop. Overall, though, WWE had another solid week. Post-Wrestlepalooza is definitely looking upwards towards Crown Jewel, like I said, once again. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining in for episode 11 of Keeping Tabs. As always, I'd love to hear any of your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Share this out, like it up if you can. Any support, I'm very much appreciate it. And as always, y'all, don't forget to be keeping tabs.